I was slightly concerned about the reason why you were coming. Really? You're going to go and... You had a goodie bag voucher for someone to essentially mess with your eyes.
Yeah, but this is the guy who did Sylvester Stallone and
yes.
Brad Pitt. This isn't some backstreet guy.
But didn't you see on the back of the voucher, it said he'd done Sylvester Stallone and Brad Pitt's window? Not their eyes.
Today's guest is an old friend. Not as old a friend as you might think, given that we're both in the same place. He's one of the most respected, admired, and celebrated actors. He sort of follows in the footsteps of Burton and Hopkins. It is, of course, Michael Sheen. There he is, you see?
No.
Look at you. Oh, why can't I get rid of me? Hang on a minute.
The question... The whole of Britain.
Now, there's no need for that. You sit there looking like you're in a hostage video. There's no need for that. Now, where are you?
I am in St. Lucia.
Oh, good Lord. I assumed you were in America.
No, I thought I would keep that as a surprise for you. I knew you would be thrilled to hear that. Yes, I'm on my way to America.
Right.
Because I have to go and film in New York on the series I do, Prodigal Son. But you can't just come to America from the UK now. They don't let you in.
Oh, is that why you've done it?
Yeah. So, well, it wasn't out of choice, particularly. I mean, we were told, right, here are the list of countries you can go to first for 2 weeks to quarantine. So it was going to be Bermuda. That was the nearest one, because you didn't have to stay in a room in Bermuda. You could wander free. And it would still count as quarantine for some reason. And then Bermuda got taken off the list like a week before we left.
Oh, good Lord, right. And then you'll go to New York and you'll just live in New York.
Yes, so when we get to New York, we don't have to quarantine then when we get there. So because we'll have done our essentially 2 weeks in a non-offensive country. The UK is deemed plague-ridden.
You're in St. Lucia. I'm in Twickenham. Now, I've tried to remember...
The St. Lucia of London. Isn't it known as that?
It is in a way, yes, it is. I've tried to remember where we first met.
Well, our parents probably met before we did, because our parents went to church together, didn't they?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that they probably met you. Because you were at Porthcawl Comprehensive, weren't you?
Yeah.
So 2 of my best friends, Jason and Howell, they were in Porthcawl Comp as well, and you knew them probably before we knew each other.
I knew Howell a bit because Howell was Beth's brother, and
yes.
Beth was in Ruth Jones's year, was she not? Or maybe she wasn't. Maybe she was. No, Beth was in my year, I think.
Ruth was a few years older than me, I think, because I met Ruth in National Youth Theatre of Wales. Did you ever do National Youth
Yes, but see, I'm 55. How old are you?
I'm 52, I think. Because was Ruth there when you were there?
I don't think she was, no.
Right, okay. So she must have come just after you, and then I must have, because she'd already done it once, I think, and then I came. So we must have just missed them. So that would have been when we would have met, but we never did.
I would hear your name with annoying regularity. Oh,
whispered in dark
Michael
corners.
Sheen. Oh, Michael Sheen. Have you said, how the hell is this bloody Michael Sheen? Used to hear it all the time. And then,
no, really?
Yeah, honestly, from youth theatre and stuff. Yes.
God.
Because probably via Ruth, because she would have met you. But our county youth theatres were different because we used to go to Ogmore for our course. Right. But you would have been in West Glamorgan.
I was West Glam Youth Theatre, which was based in Swansea, really.
Yes.
You had Roger Burnell as your drama teacher at Porthcawl. Now, who was a giant, a titan of the drama field in our area. He's done amazing things and still does.
Yeah.
Had a huge effect on people. But we had in our area a man called Godfrey Evans, who was had a similar effect on multiple generations of young people, and particularly going into acting. So there were these 2 massive figures, weren't there? Roger Burnell and Godfrey Evans.
So important, isn't it? I feel so fortunate that I had Roger and you having Godfrey.
When the comp was first built, it was this flagship comprehensive school. It was kind of a new thing. And that Godfrey Evans had come from the area, had gone to Central School of Speech and Drama to train as a drama teacher, and then built this extraordinarily progressive arts infrastructure, like theatre and dance and stuff, coming out of Sandfield's Comp School. And then that sort of spread throughout the whole county. And he eventually became the county advisor in dance and drama, set up the West Glamorgan Youth Theatre, the West Glamorgan Dance Company. Catherine Zeta-Jones came through the West Glamorgan Dance Company. People like myself, Russell T. Davis, came through West Glamorgan Youth Theatre, West Glamorgan Youth Orchestra, all these youth arts sort of organisations. He basically set those up.
In the middle of what you're saying there, you touched on a tragedy, which is, of course, dance was your life for so long. Tell us about the injury and the injury and what happened and what it was like when those dreams were shattered.
Well, they said it wouldn't hurt to sit on it. And I made the mistake of doing it. It was part of the choreography. They said that my jazz bells would hold.
Yeah.
No, I went straight through and straight up, and I never walked really the same again. Certainly couldn't dance again. And
it's meant that I know in a lot of I know with Frost Nixon you were keen to have a dance element in that, and I know they got.
Yeah. You joke about that. You joke about that, Rob. But funnily enough, when we did the first ever not read through, like a sort of workshop of Frost Nixon, the play, because it was a play before it was a film. And I remember I was doing, we were filming The Queen at the time, and Peter Morgan, who wrote The Queen, said, I've got this other thing I'm working on, I'll send it to you. And so he sent it to me, and it was Frost Nixon, and it was the very beginnings of the play. When we did the first ever workshop reading of it at the Donmar Theatre, Douglas Hodge was Nixon. He was just helping out doing it today. And Frost had a song. The first half ended with David Frost doing a song. So you joke about the dance element, but actually there was a number that didn't make it into the ultimate rehearsal draft.
I saw you in the stage version. Do you remember? I saw you in London and on Broadway. Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Now, you told me very interesting things about the difference between doing it on London and Broadway, because to a West End crowd, Frost is the star.
Yeah.
And to a Broadway crowd, Nixon.
Yeah, very, very different. I mean, not so much the star, but the audience was so familiar with Frost in Britain. When I walked out for my first scene in Frost Nixon, I went, hello, good evening. Well, everyone's just there. They're big laugh. They're there. They know exactly what they're dealing with. And then you can kind of play with it. You can riff with that a bit.
Yeah.
And that's what Peter Morgan is. One of the brilliant things about Peter Morgan's writing is that he chooses these subjects and these characters that we think we know so much about. And then he plays, he riffs on that. He subverts it and surprises and reveals all sorts of things. I mean, that was part of what made The Queen so successful, that Helen as the Queen, Mirren as the Queen. You feel like you know who she is, but then you sort of lift the veil. And, So that was something that I really enjoyed playing in Britain. So, of course, in America, people, if they had heard of Frost, because he had a big show in America back in the day and was well known, but they had a completely different understanding of Frost. I mean, just someone having an English accent, already people in America think, they're very posh, they're very upper class, they're very educated, they're so cultured and all that. Yeah. So that was all projected onto Frost. And of course, that's not at all what the context for Frost was in Britain. Frost was very much the outsider for his generation of Britain. He was at Cambridge with people like Dudley Moore.
Well, Peter Cook, and we all know, well, certainly people in the business know the famous Peter Cook view of him, that he kind of took what Cook was doing. And that famous quote, do you have any regrets? And Peter Cook said, yes, I once saved David Frost from drowning, which I think was said affectionately, but nonetheless, there was
Can you say that affectionately?
Well, maybe, do you know what? That's me projecting my inherent niceness onto Peter Cook, who perhaps could be rather acerbic, but also.
But it was all that on the fringe lot were there at the same time, and he was seen as very much the kind of upstart who wasn't part of that club, but who then became the most famous man in Britain because of the advent of him on television and stuff. So all those kind of things that I was able to play with in my performance in Britain went for nothing in America. Went for absolutely nothing. And of course, everyone there is totally gender on Nixon, and there's a whole history and mythology about Nixon in America. And so it was a completely different shift, completely
And
different.
did you see that coming, or was it a shock?
I sort of anticipated it a bit because I knew that, people didn't know Frost as well in America as in Britain. But I think the combination of that and just Broadway, the Broadway theatre scene is very different to the London theatre scene. There's that whole thing about people getting clapped when they walk on stage. At the end of speeches, they clap at the end of speeches.
Wow.
If you do a speech and the audience like it, well, I mean, it's like going back to the 17th century or something. It's extraordinary. It's absolutely so that is a whole different kind of thing. And Frank Langella, who was playing Nixon, was big Broadway star, absolutely fated on Broadway. And so there was a big shift there that I found quite frustrating in lots of ways. Partly in terms of the storytelling, because I suddenly didn't have the same, I didn't have the same toolkit to be able to use. And also just as an ego thing. It was a very different shift.
But here's the story I wanted you to tell. Some years ago, and I meant to work this out before we did the interview, I was in America for one of the trips, I think, promoting it. And it played at a film festival. And
Toronto.
No, it was something in LA. It was something to do with California and Los Angeles. And I had a goodie bag. And in the
yes.
In the goodie bag were several things I couldn't use. Free gym membership in LA, free cinema in LA. There was a cosmetic surgery consultation voucher, which God knows I need, but I couldn't use it. But in there was free laser eye surgery. And my eyes were not what they could have been. And this was a guy who had done Sylvester Stallone's eyes and Brad Pitt's eyes. So I decided, and it sounds ludicrous now, because I had air miles, that I would fly back out to Los Angeles, right? And I would have this surgery. I mean, it sounds bonkers, right?
Well, I can get to LA for free because I've got air miles. I can have laser eye surgery for free because it was in my goodie bag at the festival. How can I stay there for free as well? Oh, I know. Michael Sheen lives there. So I was thrilled for you to come and stay with me. I loved it.
Now, we'll take a slight detour now in the story because you picked me up and you said, I'm not going to be in tonight because
that's right.
I've got to go and do something.
I had agreed, sort of agreed, but really I had been kind of duped into doing something. Do you remember the series Punk'd?
Yes.
It was a show, I believe, on MTV where sort of practical joke kind of things were done on celebrities by friends of theirs, or, it was a setup. So I had been approached about one of these punked scenarios being done on my daughter's mother, on Kate Beckinsale. And at first, we had not been together for some time. And at first, my agent, I think, said to me, they've been in touch and they want to just run some things by you because they want to check if it'll be okay, or, if they do this with her. It's very odd that they're asking me. Anyway, cut a long story short, they somehow managed to get me to agree to do it, to be the person who did the punking. And I don't know how that ended up like The Wire. I was wired up and going to meet Kate and take her for a meal, which would never have happened. I agreed to all that. And then the basic scenario was we would be sitting near a pool at a restaurant in a hotel and having a meal or something. And then some guy would walk past and say something a bit inappropriate to Kate or whatever. And then I would eventually, and then he would come back and do it again, and I would then get into an argument with him. I would push him into the pool, and the idea was that this would greatly embarrass Kate, because I got out of control. And then, it's, punk, all that. I was absolutely terrified about this, and I was sworn to secrecy. I couldn't tell anyone.
You told me.
But I told you because I had to, because you were going to be blind, sitting in my apartment because you'd had your eye surgery. So I was forced into telling you. And then your reaction made me feel even worse because you were like, Michael, what are you doing? This is a terrible idea.
Well, it was.
And I knew it was. I knew it was a terrible idea, Rob, but I couldn't do anything about it at this point. It was like the wheel of destiny was rolling and there was nothing I could do to stop it. And it all sort of went to plan, I suppose. But it was a terribly inappropriate thing for me to have done. I've never really got over it. I don't think any of my relationships have got over it that were involved in that. The reason why I felt sort of badly about it was that I was going to have to leave you blinded by this surgery in order to go and do this ridiculous thing that I'd sort of been duped into doing, and then come back leaving you blinded. So, yes, we went, I took you to the place, which was quite close by to where I live. There was a massive window at one end of the room. There was sort of the waiting room. And there were various cuddly toys and teddy bears around the place, which I found a bit freaky. And then this massive window. And on the other side of the window was a man doing medieval things to someone's eyes. I mean, on full display. Apparently the idea was that this would put people at their ease because everyone would be quite scared about having lasers in their eyes. So the idea was put everyone at their ease. You can watch what's happening to the person before you. It didn't put anyone at their ease. It was terrifying. It was like watching Luke Skywalker battle with Darth Vader's eyeballs. It was terrible. And the teddy bears were there for people to hold on to when they went in.
Yeah, no, hang on.
And Rob, I remember, you held on to a teddy bear.
I did not. That is not true.
You did.
Did I?
You did.
Really?
You did. You absolutely did.
I have.
And I was like, it's something. Our relationship, I think, took a very strange turn at that point because you were in there holding a teddy bear, having your eyes done, and I was standing on the other side of the glass like a very worried mother watching it. I mean, I really was. And the other thing that they had was that there was a mirror above where the work was taking place. So you were lying in this chair. The Dr. Crippen guy was doing the laser, but there was a mirror here so that people outside could see the laser going into your eye. Not good enough just to see the sort of aquarium view through the window. I had to get in really close to be able to see the laser. So I was sort of watching this laser going in your eye with you clutching the teddy bear. I was terrified for you, but it all went very well. It all went terribly well, and then you were brought out like the Invisible Man. With bandages across. I mean, in my memory, there's blood, dried blood coming out. There wasn't. But in my memory, and you had bandages around your eyes, we were told you couldn't have these bandages taken off now.
There were no bandages. There were plastic, and I don't remember a teddy bear, by the way. There were plastic covers so that
you couldn't see the teddy bear.
So that you didn't touch your eyes. I don't remember a teddy bear. I remember.
You had a comb. You had a dog's comb.
No, I did not have a dog's comb.
You wouldn't worry at your scabs.
Do you remember though? They gave me someone who has never taken a drug, a recreational drug in his life. I was given an Ambien or a Xanax or something. And do you remember? I became very happy.
Yes, I remember you being very pleased with that. Yes. Very pleased with that. So as you came out with your blood-soaked bandages on your eyes, clutching your teddy bear, you were also sort of like just on a high, a literal high, but very, very much enjoying it, and a sort of a commentary about how you had never done this before. You had never taken drugs, so this was a new experience for you, and how much you were enjoying it, and maybe you would try it again. So then I took you home. I got you out of the car, put you to bed. There you are. Lying in bed. I think I made you chicken soup or something like that. That's my memory. And then I dressed your weeping bandages.
Did not do that.
adjusted your cone and all that. And then I had to leave you there and go off to do this bizarre stunt.
Yeah. And then when the next morning when I woke up, my worry was not how are my eyes? Will I ever see again? But what happened to Michael last night?
That's right.
Now I need to press that button. I need to press that button again, and I will keep you for another 10 minutes if I can. Is that all right?
Well, when we do that series I do staged, the rip-off of your series, we have to do all this ourselves as well. So we're essentially filming it ourselves.
Oh well, hang on. Let's get you on tape saying the rip-off of your thing. Right. Let's get that. That'll be funny. That'll be funny and so helpful with the court case. New screen recording, and then we go to that, like that, and then I go up here. Hang on, nearly. All right, and we're back. Yeah, so I've just been fiddling around, you see, with all the little things.
It's very impressive. I want to say to the viewers who are not witness to this, It's like watching a seasoned pilot in a very complex cockpit, totally in charge of the flight. It's amazing that Rob is having to do all of this himself. And I know how difficult it is because the series that I do stage, the rip-off of your series, we have to do all the stuff ourselves on that. Because I record it in my kitchen on this very laptop that I'm speaking to now.
Right, Michael, you've got St. Lucia there waiting for you.
Yeah.
Let me say, you are an inspiration. You are just the most wonderful actor. And we didn't even get onto your act. I wanted to talk about your activism. I so admire the way you put your head above the parapet and you follow your convictions. We can do a second one of these at some point, surely.
Let's do a follow-up.
All right.
Follow. Matthew Rhys didn't get a follow-up, did he?
No. Matthew Rhys, I had to be dragged kicking and screaming to do that interview with him. I'll say this to you, Michael, I don't like the man.
Nobody does, Rob.
All right. Hey, look, enjoy your time in St. Lucia. Fingers crossed they have razors there, and I will see you soon.